Sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy Dark Raku here with what if what if Takemichi had or not had have a heavily restriction. Now, before I go on, I should mention one thing. I am sick as hell. Well, not sick as hell. I am just like sick. I don't know why, but mostly fucking this sickness started on somewhat Monday. Well, not Monday. Yeah, it started somewhere on Monday. Had a headache and other things when I came back home. Tuesday, yeah, no way. It was Tuesday, I have a headache. Then Wednesday, I was kind of like sick and still had a headache and my throat hurted. And today, now my throat kind of hurts. But yeah, it gets annoying. But not the point. So, what I'm basically doing to get rid of this sickness is just drinking a bunch of hot shit. But yeah, because I remember someone in my comments there told me just to drink a bunch of stuff that is considered hot. So like hot water, hot tea, and like other shit, like coffee also. I tried to make myself a coffee this morning. I didn't know what the ingredients was again because I only see my parents kind of do it before, and I never did understand how to make it. So I fucked it up and like I add a bunch of ingredients and I just made it so fucking terrible that I just like almost threw up. Yeah. But not the point. Let me begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up because someone did actually comment for this what if. So mostly this is the person that asked mostly for the what if. So this guy was the one up here. Kind of said, have you think about doing a what if Takemichi have a heavily restriction or like mostly Toji. So yeah, I decided to probably do it because fuck it, why not? So that is not the point here or there. So let me begin into this what if and let me shut the fuck up. Now before I go on, let me eat this lemon because well I heard that it helps my throat. Why not? Okay, let me go back. Sorry if I'm just kind of like sucking on my lips. And the lemon was sour. I should have got some salt also. But not the point. Let me begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up and let me start. So we begin into mostly mostly we go into Takemichi, a boy with blondish hair, or mostly he used to have blondish hair, but mostly now black. Having these kind of dullish, well, mostly blue eyes. Well, not dullish blue eyes, they're like blue eyes. But right now, he is not going on a job, work, or any of that. He's right now in a coma. The boy has been, or mostly the man has been there, who is now 26 years old, has been in a coma for only about 2 years. Now, it has kind of started when he was 24. He mostly got hit by a car, and of course, instead of getting an isekai to another world by mostly Chukun, mostly Takemichi managed to survive. Takemichi is the person that's name of this person. He mostly stays in the kind of bed, in the front of the bed, Takemichi Hanagaki. Now, this is where, well, Takemichi, the person that's in the kind of like, well, mostly. So, Takemichi Hanagaki is right now been in a coma for 2 years. This is where, well, mostly he started kind of opening his eyes after 2 years. After 2 long years, he started kind of opening his eyes. This is where the light hurt his eyes from the fact that he's been asleep or been in a coma for 2 years, making him already be 26. This is where, well, when the person gets up, he feels so tired, so weak also. But no, he then kind of wonders why he's so weak and tired. The last thing that he remembers is his probably weird realistic, it's kind of like realistic / weird dream of him, but not entirely him, like if he did get isekai'd by Truck-kun, but it wasn't entirely the case. He showed up into someone else's body and lived their life entirely for mostly almost, well, he thought he lived their kind of life for at least 30 years. But not really. He realized that he's back in, well, his somewhat original body. This is where, well, he looks confused and of course realized that he does kind of have a scar on his kind of like near his lip. Kind of the similar scar that he kind of had in that dream / weird kind of reality kind of dimension place or whatever. But in the other place, his name wasn't Takemichi Hanagaki, but instead Toji Fushiguro. He was confused and where exactly he was entirely, until he realized he was in the hospital. This is where, well, he then thinks about it more. How did he... This is where, well, he became much more smarter and, of course, much more, well, tactical and of course, just entirely a lot of things. And of course, instead of just being an idiot on like original canon, he kind of is much more smarter and just other things. But yeah, this is where, well, he narrowed his eyes looking all around until this is where, well, a nurse kind of walked in and says, you're awake. This is where, well, she ran out of the, what's it called, like, room to go get a doctor. And of course, the doctor came in right now, talked to Takemichi Hanagaki, asking him if the boy, well, mostly the man slash boy, kind of knows his name. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi nodded. He says that his name is Takemichi, well, Hanagaki. This is where, well, the doctor was surprised. He didn't think that this person would actually remember his name. He's been in a coma for a while. He thought he might have been able to have an amnesia or some kind of like small term amnesia or something. But this is where, well, what did the doctor say? Do you know how old you are? 24? This is where Takemichi asked. No, you have been in a coma for 2 years, so you are actually 26. This is where Takemichi says, I see. 2 years. Even though in that war I spent 30 years before I got killed and annihilated by a white-haired bastard. And then again, I did kill him, but not the point. This is where, well, Takemichi thinks in his head. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi narrows his eyes and says, I see. Well, would I be able to be discharged? This is where, well, the doctor says about that. We were going to have to kind of have you for 2 days. Around those 2 days, we're going to just do some tests and just see if you're all fine and okay, because you did get hit by a car and went into a coma for 2 years. So we're just going to figure out if you're perfectly fine after that. This is where Takemichi nodded. The doctor says, well, at least just rest or something. This is where Takemichi just decides to do it. Of course, he decides to fall asleep again. Until mostly the next day, he just had to do the test. It was just like physical testing, mostly just to see if he's all okay. Like his legs can move, his arms can move, he can't just react, like something just bump into him or something like that. Of course, well, his reaction and everything else in his body has become much more better, somewhat. But mostly it wasn't as good as in that one dream place that he had been for, well, 2 years coma. Even though it didn't feel like 2 years, but 30 years entirely. But yet he doesn't care. This is where, well, he also realized that mostly his reaction time and everything is kind of slower. He then realized that not everything has been transferred mostly from that world in a coma, whatever place, into this. He then thinks that he might need to train his body to go back to that same kind of level. He wonders if he still has the heavenly restriction with him. Because when he was born in that world, or whatever the hell he was in, he was having a heavenly restriction, which kind of allows him to have the mostly body of a fucking athlete, like in a very pro athlete and other things, like a very strong pro athlete, fighters, whatever bullcrap you want to think about it. But of course, he doesn't know if he still has a heavenly restriction. This is where, he doesn't have curse energy. He doesn't use curse energy. Even in that world, he never used curse energy because he couldn't. But this is where, well, he then thinks about it. Would I still have it? No. This is back into this world. If I had a dream, that dream was crazy though. But then again, I did feel like it was 30 years. Weird. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi managed to get through the 2 days and just kind of get discharged. This is where Takemichi says, where did I work again? Oh, okay. I'll figure out what to get the job or whatever. This is where, well, Takemichi was walking. Of course, where, well, he was kind of walking until he saw the news appear on some of the TVs. This is where, well, right now it's actually mostly. So this is where, well, he was kind of walking around until mostly, well, he was going to go get a job until he passed by some TVs that actually showed the news and other stuff. And this is where the news kind of says, breaking news. It seems to be a kind of car incident crash. The car incident crash managed to kill 2 people. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi decided to try to ignore it because he wasn't actually paying attention too much until he heard the names of what the TV was going on. The 2 people that died in the car kind of accident, or mostly it was during because of the gangs, during what's it called, Tokyo Shiba City, is Hinami, or not Hinami, mostly Hinata, is where Hinata Tachibana, and not you know I'm just gonna call him Nagato Takabana. This is where mostly Takemichi turns around really fast to the TV, like if he just snapped his kind of neck. And everyone kind of notices. Well, not many people notice. It's just some people which they got kind of confused. But this is where, Takemichi looks at the TV and sees the two pictures. He sees Hinata right now kind of looking as beautiful as ever. But this is where, he noticed that she's dead. Which made him kind of upset in an instant. This is where he then noticed about, the people that kill, or supposedly kill Hinata and even Hinata's little brother. That being, Toma. This is where, he says, Toma? Wait, I heard of this. Yes, if I can remember right. Before me getting out of the hospital, I heard that some doctors were talking about Toma. Tokyo Manji Gang, I think that's what it's called. Well, if they are the ones who kill Hinata and even, Nagato, even though I was never close to Nagato, but at least I was close to Hinata, it's time for them to see what a true monster is. This is where, mostly Takemichi decides to kind of walk away from the TV news, and instead of acting kind of depressed and other things, he wasn't too depressed. The reason why is because his emotions has become much more in check. Just because he lived for 30 years in a different world or some kind of bullcrap in his coma state, whatever. This is where, he's became more emotion. He can show less emotion half the time. He can just be emotionless half the time and actually care less. This is where, he goes to, a kind of place to kind of like a library to kind of go to the computers. And this is where, when he goes to the computers, he kind of just logs into the internet and starts kind of searching up about Toma and other stuff. This is where, he starts searching up a lot of things about Toma. He kind of found out about the vice captains, the other things, blah, blah, blah. The, mostly Bloody Halloween and other things. This is where, he also found out other gangs that were kind of small, but Toma managed to take them over, or mostly take them down, like Tenji gang and like other gangs. But yeah, this is where, Takemichi nodded and says, I see. So, Toma is supposedly to be this great, annoying gang. Not gonna lie, they kind of do remind me of mostly the kind of curse users back in, Jujutsu, mostly in that world. The curse users you were thinking about. Just less weak and pathetic. Actually, they're all weak and pathetic in my eyes. I don't really care what they do. Guns, please. I dealt with so much other shit in that world than in this world. But then again, I'm not as strong as in that world, in this world. But if I still have the heavenly restriction, I'll be able to react a lot faster than normal people and dodge bullets. I really wish I could actually go back in time. Just to kind of tell Hinata my true feelings. Well, mostly, do I still have any feelings for her? Mostly Takemichi thinks about this, and he doesn't really truly have any more feelings for Hinata. Just some feelings to protect her, but not much. Of course, he then thinks about it. He does really want to go back in time to just stop this whole gang bullshit. Just because, why not? He's kind of bored and he needs to get a job anyway to kind of like get on with life and other shit because, mostly there's no way to hell to go back in time. He doesn't have any curse energy, so what the hell is he going to do? How is he going to go back in time when he has zero curse energy, zero ability or any status of family to just kind of go back to the past? Because, he does think of mostly a whitish haired person with bluish eyes, bluish crystal eyes, thinking that motherfucker will be able to somehow go back in time with just the power of limitless or whatever. And this is what, he then thinks about it. No, I don't think he can even go back in time. Even if I wanted to ask him, I'm dead. I can't be in that world and this world at the same time. Because in that world, I'm already dead. And, I was going to kill the son of a bitch anyway. This is where Takemichi says, you know what? Maybe I should figure this out later. This is where Takemichi logs out of the computer, deletes all the stuff that he was searching up, and decides to kind of get out of, mostly the library. He's decided to kind of walk towards the train station until mostly when he gets to the train station, he's kind of just waiting for the damn train. And this is where, Takemichi is just kind of waiting. Let's see. If I can able to get a job, a good enough paying job. I don't really want to be in an office work. Office works are always a pain in the ass. But let's see. In that world, I used to be a bounty hunter. I used to be a hunter to go get paid, so like a hitman most of the time. Would I be able to do this in this world? Takemichi's just thinking. This is where, well, the train is coming, and this is where, well, Takemichi does have the money to just pay for the train, because he's mostly going to just sit in the train and just think most of the time. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi for some reason felt this sensation that someone was about to push him. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi was actually kind of about to turn around until someone managed to push him or push Takemichi off, because Takemichi isn't physically strong, because mostly in that world he was, but in this world he's not. This is where Takemichi, before kind of like falling down to a train, he managed to kind of kick the person in the head before getting kind of pushed. This is where he knocked out a red-haired person. For some reason looked familiar, but of course Takemichi, you say, son of a bitch, the train was about to hit him, and this is where Takemichi says, fuck, got first hit by a car, now a trip. This is where he's dead now. This is where, well, we'll see. We go into, well, Takemichi fading into black, but this is where now he wakes up in an instant. This is where, for some reason, he just wakes up and thinks that he is now in a different world. Until he realizes, well, when he kind of opened his eyes, he sees 4 different people. Of course, they all look extremely familiar, but this is where, well, he then kind of just looks at them and says, who the hell are they? So this is where, well, he kind of noticed these 4 guys when they're actually kind of getting off the train. For some reason, he almost bumped into someone, but this is where, well, mostly the train that says we're getting off of Shiba City, and this is where, well, mostly Takemichi then heard his name being called out by these 4 guys. This is where one had kind of blackish hair. Of course, he was actually the tallest out of everyone. This is where, well, his name was Toki. Well, not Toki, mostly Makoto or something like that. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi says, if I can remember right, Makoto was the one that could never keep his hand off his dick. But not the point. This is where he noticed the kind of like short, kind of blondish haired guy with glasses somewhat. This is where, well, we'll see the other guy was a very blondish hair with glasses, and of course his name was Yamagiri. And of course, we'll see Takemichi says if he was the idiot who thought that wearing glasses would make him smarter. Takemichi then deduced those 2. Then noticed a guy with kind of lightish blonde hair that kind of looks like a bootleg Mikey to me. Kind of his name, what was his name? Yamamoto, I think so. And Yamato or Yamamoto, I can't remember. But this is where, well, mostly Takemichi says Yamamoto. This is where, well, of course, well, he then sees the guy who I know when I was little. He then noticed the red-haired dude, who's actually considered to be the leader of all of them. But this is where, well, Ake, or the guy that he remembers kind of kicking the shit out of before kind of dying. And this is where, well, Takemichi wanted to punch this guy so hard in the face for some reason. Because he remembers the idiot that he was the one to actually push him. But before Takemichi went off, he kicked the shit out of this guy. But yeah. Takemichi decides to ignore this, but this is where, well, he then kind of follow those guys until he noticed a mirror and realized he has blondish hair instead of blackish hair, bluish eyes, but one thing is a little bit different. His bluish eyes are almost the same color of his darkish green eyes from that other world, which confused him a lot because he doesn't remember having, well, they're kind of a darkish greenish color, which mostly he was surprised to see this, and this is where, well, he then decided to look at his eyes by kind of like grabbing his face and like deciding to kind of like widen his eyes a little bit further with one of his hands and says, why the hell is this darkish green? This is weird. Actually, how the fuck am I in the past? This is where Takemichi thinks in his head even much more. This is where his friends then ask him, Takemichi, hurry up. This is where, well, Takemichi says, yeah, wait. This is where he then decides to check his pockets until he realized he doesn't have, he didn't even have modern phone in the other, mostly in his 26 years because, well, his original phone kind of did fly out of his pocket when he did get hit by that car. So, of course, he didn't realize he has a flip phone and some coins. This is where Takemichi says, damn, I'm broken in my 26-year-old body and I'm still broke in this place. Damn. At least I was a little bit fucking rich in the other world, but now I'm fucking broke. But wait, this is where, well, for some reason he decides to calm himself down and decides to just close his eyes and then just kind of think, but also decides to hear the surroundings around him. He decides to be able to hear someone crying, but from another kind of like station down with the train tracks, kind of like going somewhere else. But yeah, this is where Takemichi can actually hear further. This is where, well, he can also sense someone, people walking behind him. He can like sense their movements and other things. He then thinks about it. He says, wait, does that mean if I went into the past, does that mean that I also have the heavenly restriction? But that's impossible. Or is it? Takemichi decides to just not think about it until he decides to kind of tell his friends that he's actually going to the bathroom real quick. He decides to lift his shirt up and right now look at the mirror and realize that instead of having a scrawny body like his, what's it called, previous kind of having, well, being in a 14-year-old, because he's back to being 14 or whatever. I think it was 14 or 13, I can't remember. So yeah, 14, and this is where, well, Takemichi says, I am physically ripped. So I do have the heavily restriction, but it's not as the most improved one that I had in my other life, because basically in that heavily restriction, I basically had my body physically toned the fuck out. The maximum power I could have it. Of course, that means, does this world also have curse users? No, because I'm back to being when I was 14. Or, this is weird. This is where, well, he also noticed some highlights of black in his hair, but not much. It was actually his original hair color, but yeah, he's not actually entirely a kind of pure blonde hair person. He's actually just dyed it most of the time. This is where Takemichi says, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of this damn blonde hair. It does kind of annoy me a lot. Well, not the point. Don't know how I'm in the past, don't know how I managed to have the heavily restriction, and I don't care. This is where Takemichi just says, I'm going to improve myself so much to the point that I would change the future. I'm not going to be some weakling just like my previous life. Or whatever bullcrap that was. Somehow managed to got isekai. Getting hit by the train and somehow getting isekai back to the fucking past. Is that how anime works? Mostly Takemichi thinks about it. Because if you get hit by a car, or mostly a truck, you get isekai to another world. This is where Takemichi says, but I got hit by a car, and I got put in a coma, but isekai into most of my coma / dream. And now I got hit by the train. Does that mean, if I get hit by the train, does that mean I get isekai to the past? This is where Takemichi is thinking about it, overthinking this a little bit. And this is where Takemichi says, whatever, I don't give a damn. If this is how that works, and that whole system works, time to fucking abuse this shit. This is where Takemichi declares. This is where, well, he doesn't say it out loud, but this is where, well, he's just thinking. This is where he then grins like a madman, just knowing that this is his second chance. He's going to take fully abuse of this. He doesn't care. This is where, well, Takemichi decides to get out and sees his friends kind of waiting and says, are you done? This is where Takemichi says, of course, let's just go. This is where, well, Takemichi decides to take lead, and of course he doesn't know where exactly they're walking to until he kind of remembers now what happens. Mostly they get to a park, and of course they were looking for a group of second years from a different school, and of course, where, well, mostly because they were talking trash and other things, and this is where Takemichi says, so what are we doing? This is where, well, his friends are just saying that they're going to fight like second years and other things because they were talking trash. Until a group of third years appear. The third years say, so you are the guys who are looking for our second years. Well, too bad for you. They're right now on a trip. But you can deal with us. This is where all of them grins. This is where, well, we'll see Takemichi's group right now realize that they were outmatched until Takemichi is not outmatched here. Hell no, he's not outmatched at all. Takemichi decides to walk up to the tall dude, mostly the guy with blackish hair, and his name was, what's it called? So, of course, his name is Kiyomitsu, and this is where, well, we'll see the person noticed Takemichi and the others, and this is where, well, he then says, well, let's get them, boys. This is where, well, we'll see, what's it called? Or mostly Takemichi's friends decide to think that they were safe, but not really. And of course, where, well, the group of like third years decide to chase after, or mostly beat up the second years. Not entirely, because mostly Takemichi, when he was dealing with the leader, he grabbed the guy from the arm, twisted so bad where it's almost snapped to the point of breaking, and the person was just screaming out in pain. It was one of those like mostly underlings from that kind of leader, mostly Kiyomitsu, whatever. This is where, well, mostly Kiyomitsu notices, and this is where Takemichi decides to just snap the guy's arm. The guy was just screaming in pain. Kiyomitsu decides to say, hey, get him already. This is where, well, mostly the others, like Takemichi's other friends, just got easily knocked out because, well, they're not strong. This is where Takemichi noticed the guy's kind of rushing towards him. Takemichi right now kind of puts his hands to the back of him and just start popping out his bones. This is where, well, he says, ah, that feels really good. I see. So I still have the heavily restriction, but still, I have the body of an athlete. Time to break these people. This is where Takemichi grins like a psychotic bastard until this is where mostly one person tries to punch at him. Takemichi blocks in an instant. Ow, that hurt it. Mostly ow. I kind of bumped into something, but not the point. Takemichi kind of blocks the attack by just like blocking it, but pushing it out of the way, and then uppercutting the guy in the chin, knocking his shit out, probably breaking some bones, like some jaw bones, but whatever. This is where the guy was knocked out for the count until mostly another person rushes at Takemichi and trying to send a kick until Takemichi just grab it and then elbows the shit out of the knee, breaking it, snapping it into mostly the wrong way. But yeah, this is where the guy was just screaming in pain. This is where Kimusu says, hey, hurry up and get him. This is where, well, the person rushes at him. And this is where Takemichi just rushes before that person can even get close to him. Takemichi already grabs the guy from the face and smashes him down to the ground, breaking probably something in his head. And yet Takemichi didn't care. If he killed the son of a bitch, he killed the son of a bitch. Who cares? Takemichi's on demon time right now. Takemichi has his eyes right now blank and having such a psychotic grin. The guy who says, you know what I am part of? Kiyomoto screams, I am a part of the Toma gang. You shouldn't be able to mess with me. If you do, then Mikey. This is where Takemichi says, did you say Toma? Does that mean the Tancho Mancho gang? This is where mostly Kiyomoto says, yes. So if you mess, this is where Takemichi right now grabs the guy from the face, smash him down to the ground and start punching his ass over and over and over. This is where Takemichi says, die, die. Takemichi didn't care if he killed this son of a bitch. Takemichi was already pissed with the fact that this guy was a part of the Toma gang. So if he killed the son of a bitch, who cares? This is where Takemichi grabbed him from the neck, lift him up, and decides to just say, die. He cracked this guy's neck and snapped it. Threw his body limp over, and this is where, well, Takemichi, then his face was covered with blood, and this is where he turns around because he heard movement, and what he sees is his cousin. This is where his cousin sees Takemichi just kill most of what I care in the world. Takemichi says, oh, cousin, hey, it's been a while. I heard you were joining this gang. Sorry if I kill your leader. This is where Takemichi had a psychotic grin on his face. This is where, well, his cousin right now pissed himself in an instant, just seeing these people just literally got killed by his cousin. His younger cousin, yet fucking Takemichi didn't have a fucking, just any hint of mercy in his eyes. This is where Takemichi says, other than that, I'm gonna need some information from you. So you either comply with me, or I'll break your neck right now. And yet we won't be cousins ever again, cause you'll be dead. This is where, oh, his cousin gulps and says, yes, Takemichi, what do you want? This is where, well, Takemichi says, good. Tell me. We go into a time skip of mostly Takemichi's friends managing to wake up. And this is where they were confused because they were on the train. Now, of course, this is where, well, they say, where the hell are we? Of course, they feel like they just got hurt really bad. So when they touch her face, yeah, they're kind of hurt. But Takemichi was able to just carry all of them. This is where, well, his cousin was right now knocked the fuck out and passed like cold out because he was just pissed himself and just passed the fuck out by himself and not the point. This is where, well, Takemichi says, hey guys, you awake? This is where, well, they says, ow, what the hell happened? Takemichi says, oh, you know, we're never gonna hear from those guys ever again. Why? They got arrested. Takemichi lied to them entirely. He's not going to just say, oh, don't worry, I killed the son of a bitch. This is why, well, he doesn't know how his friends will react if they heard of the fact that he killed Kiyomasu with a goddamn care in the whole world. This is where, well, Armios, whatever the hell his name is. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a damn. This is where, well, Takemichi says, other than that, we should probably be getting home. Besides, I managed to carry you guys to the fucking train. You guys are heavy as shit, you know that? Takemichi says, no, you guys are lighter than a fucking feather. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi didn't say anything like that out loud. This is where, well, his friends nodded and says, oh, okay. Well, we should definitely get back to the house. They managed to get out of the train and just get towards mostly the places they all live at. Of course, where Takemichi was kind of, well, mostly walking away until mostly Aku, who was actually the guy with reddish hair, kind of stopped Takemichi and says, mostly Takemichi. Takemichi says, huh? Yeah, Aku? This is where Aku says, I want to know what really happened. You might have told us that we managed to kind of, well, managed to escape. But that's not entirely the truth, is it? Takemichi noticed that he was always a smart one. He was always the type to kind of know what actually happened between all of them. Takemichi says, "What do you mean? I told you. The cops showed up, they got arrested, and they managed to let us go." This is where Aku says, "Then why don't you have wounds like us?" Takemichi says, "Because I managed to kind of hide." Takemichi had to lie even though he knows that kind of hurts his pride a little bit because he ain't no pussy. He ain't gonna hide. This is where mostly Aku says, "No, you were right next to us. You couldn't actually be able to hide." Takemichi right now sees Aku right now trying to figure out more stuff about him. Takemichi sighs and decides to go up to Aku and says, "Look here, dude. I hide. I managed to escape. I managed to run away from all the situations." This is where mostly Aku says, "No. I refuse to believe that because I see some bruises on your hands." Or not bruises, mostly he can't really see bruises because Takemichi has punched a shed of walls before with his heavenly restriction and they never shown any bruises or any of that. Maybe a little scrape, but not that much. He can just clean it off after a while. But this is where, Takemichi says, "I have no clue what you're talking about, Aku. I think you should just go home. I think you're just extremely tired." Aku never has eyes, but decides to just sigh and decides to just drop it already. This is where he walks away, and this is where Takemichi says, "Good to know that he finally dropped it." Takemichi is walking away. Of course, the next day kind of happens, and this is where Takemichi wakes up and decides to kind of start training every morning at 4 a.m. in the morning. But yeah, this is where he starts kind of training really early. Just starts kind of getting his body back to the physically kind of toned out body, like in the coma state or whatever. This is where he then says, "Time to get my body back to original mostly the original kind of standard body physical, whatever." So should I really keep the last name Hanagaki or should I keep it Fushiguro? Maybe if I ever need to change names, I can just change it to Fushiguro. But not the point. This is where he notices blondish hair, and this is where he then says, "Should probably dye that. Should probably just bring it back to black." Yeah. I hate this blondish hair. It kind of gets annoying in my freaking face. The sun can easily get annoying, but whatever. Takemichi then just decides to kind of, get out of his training spot. He was there for only 2 hours, and this is where, it's now 6 o'clock, and instead of just resting, he decides to just get prepared for school. He decides to kind of get to school, but yeah. Now, this is where, Takemichi is now getting towards, the school, and of course, he's right now kind of sighing a little bit because he's right now bored out of his mind when he gets to school. Yeah, Bernie walked in and he's already fucking tired. He just said, "Ah, damn you, never mind, fuck this shit." He just doesn't like school that much, fuck it. This is where Takemichi kind of goes inside it anyway and just kind of walks towards the direction that he needs to go. Now, the direction he needed to go was mostly kind of towards his location. Mostly, what they call. Let me see. Let me just think about it. Fuck. So, mostly towards his class, and this is where, Takemichi is kind of wondering, what to do. So I took out Toma's one of members. I wonder how Toma can even react when I kill one of them. Who cares? This is where, we go into a POV of someone kind of, looking at a dead body of mostly Kiyomitsu. And this is where, two people kind of narrow their eyes thinking, who did this? Right now, mostly one person telling a dark tone voice. This is where, mostly the taller man who looks to have blondish hair and has a dragon tattoo on his side of his head kind of just looks at the dead body. This is bad. Whoever killed him really doesn't like Toma, or just had a very angry grudge against Kiyomasa. This is where, some of their underlings just said that it's mostly a blondish hair person with kind of a bluish greenish kind of tint to his eyes, kind of killed Kiyomasa and Misa with a care in the world. Of course, they tried to lie about mostly they didn't do anything to this person, but mostly, the taller man said, "All of you shut up already." Right now, Mikey is thinking. Mikey is kind of just seeing how, one of his, not really friends, he's not close friend at all, just someone from Toma managed to just die. He kind of just thinks angrily and annoyed a little bit, but yeah. Whoever did this shall pay. This is where, we'll see, the now known as Mikey is kind of angry, but yeah. But we go into a POV of mostly Takemichi. Takemichi is walking towards his class until he bumps into a girl with mostly kind of orangey hair. Now, of course, not orangey hair, kind of, but it is kind of orangey hair. Wait, I can't remember. So, of course, well, she kind of has orangey hair and, of course, orangey eyes. And her name is Hinata. I forgot her last name, but yeah. This is where, well, she then says Takemichi. This is where, well, she kind of just asks, well, mostly the now-known Takemichi, who's actually staring at her, who he was basically thinking in what Hinata even wants. And this is where, well, or Hima, in his opinion, but yeah, not the point. This is where, well, Hinata says, Takemichi, are you doing fine? Also, tell me you didn't get into another fight. Takemichi says, oh no, I didn't get into another fight. I was just with my friends. This is where Hima kind of says, okay, fine. She just narrowed her eyes suspiciously, and this is where Takemichi says, yeah, that's all I just did. What the hell? This is where Takemichi just thinks in his head, God, this girl is always on me. But not the point. Just gotta make sure that she doesn't die when I'm older. Because, should I confess my feelings? I don't even know why we did break up originally. Whatever. I'll think about it later. This is where, well, Hima says, okay, fine. Well, I'm going back to class. Just tell me anything that you want to let go from your chest later, okay? This is where, well, Takemichi says, sure, why not? This is where, well, mostly she walks away, but yeah. This is where a new student has actually been transferred to the school, I should mention. But this is where, well, the new student was actually in Takemichi's kind of like classroom. And this is where, well, it was actually a girl who was actually transferred to the school. Her name was mostly, when she comes in, she says, hello there. My name is Junko Enishima. She smiles, so basically a smile that made almost all the guys kind of just like had dirty thoughts about her, and the girls are kind of jealous because of her kind of opie size. But this is where, well, Takemichi noticed the smile and it says, that is the most fake ass smile I've ever seen. And I've seen multiple smiles. Yeah, I believe that this girl has worse intentions than anything. Probably worse any intentions than any other gangster that I'm gonna be fighting in the near future. Should probably keep my eye on her. That's where, well, the girl is looking around, and of course, well, she did notice, well, Takemichi kind of like, instead of not gogging at her, or even just jealously of whatever, mostly she noticed that Takemichi just had his eyes just narrowed at her. That's where, well, she then thinks in her head, ooh, this guy is going to be more of a troublesome thing to deal with later on, she thinks in her head. Takemichi says, whoever this girl is, I don't think I remember her actually being transferred into my school when I was younger. No, I don't think so. But this is where, well, we go into mostly a time skip of mostly Junko and Nishima having to sit next to, well, Takemichi. This is where both of them just ignores each other, and this is where, well, they kind of continue on with class. This is where the teacher is kind of just teaching, and this is where, well, Junko is just thinking in her head, so this is the person that didn't actually, like, gog at me. Which is weird. He is kind of a guy, and every guy has the hormone to kind of look at such a cute girl like me. But yet, he didn't seem to care too much. This is where Takemichi says, goddamn, why the hell did the teacher even decide to put her right next to me? I don't even want to be anywhere near her, because if she has very bad intentions, she's probably gonna fuck up my life. And I'd rather not have a fucking crazy bitch on my ass 24/7 later. Besides, I had that in my previous life. Don't want that now. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi is thinking in his head. This is where, well, both of them aren't just looking at each other at all. Not even looking in the same direction or anything, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. This is where, well, mostly Takemichi is looking up, but with a blank ass expression because he fell asleep, but who cares? Mostly the school classroom kind of already ended the kind of classroom. This is where, well, we go into a time skip of Takemichi kind of meeting up with his friends and even Hima. Well, mostly Hima kind of went to talk to her own friends, and this is where, well, the girl with blondish hair is looking around for mostly Takemichi, or just someone to try to manipulate. This is where, well, she couldn't find that many people to manipulate because none of them did have interesting kind of personalities at all, unless Takemichi she was thinking about. This is where, well, for some reason she can't get Takemichi out of her head because of that look. He seemed not to be any type of interest to her, which made her kind of interested about him also. This is where, well, she's actually been trying to look for him entirely until she found him with mostly some other guys. Now, of course, this is where, well, she noticed that the other guys are basically just normal teenagers. Of course, this is where she noticed Takemichi's face expression is not showing too much emotion neither. Of course, this is where, well, she's quite interesting. Mostly wanted to know about Takemichi's past or any of it. This is where, well, she then kind of just keeps an eye on Takemichi. But this is where, well, before she keeps keeping an eye on Takemichi, Takemichi looks up because he had this weird sensation that someone was actually staring at him. So, of course, he looks up towards mostly the window and noticed someone actually staring at him, and it was none other than Junko. Takemichi sweatshops and never expected this girl to already target him. Shit, he thinks in his head. This is where Takemichi decides to kind of go behind a tree, just looking like he's just going to be behind it for a while. And of course, his friend kind of says, "Where are you going?" Takemichi says, "I'm just going to sit in the shade." This is where they say, "Oh, okay." This is where, well, mostly Junko kind of growls the fact that Takemichi just walked away. Of course, where, well, she also noticed that Takemichi probably did see her just staring at him. Now, this is where, well, she's kind of just in fact hating that. Of course, she doesn't even know how Takemichi was able to see where the hell she was. This is where she then says, "Wow, he's quite talented if he knows where exactly I'm already at. You know what? I'm actually going to take such a keen interest on him." This is where she then said with a very evilish, well, lustful kind of grin on her face. This is where, well, Takemichi then thinks about it and says, what to do now? Now I have some kind of crazy bitch after me, and I still have Hima as my girlfriend, like, well, mostly in my previous life, but still, this is weird. What to do? This is where, well, Takemichi thinks about it, and this is where, well, mostly before he keeps thinking, mostly he did notice a bell about to ring, but she did ring because he did check the phone time, and this is where it was, mostly they had to get back to class, but yeah. But we go into mostly a time skip of mostly after class, and of course mostly Takemichi's friends kind of like going to say, well, mostly they asked Takemichi if he wanted to go somewhere. This is where Takemichi says that he has some work to do, so of course he catch up to mostly the others, but of course he will have to kind of go do something at home. This is where mostly his friends nodded and just walks away. Now, of course, Aku's a little bit suspicious on Takemichi. This is where, well, the others aren't really too suspicious, but yeah, Aku's the only one that's a little bit smarter than mostly all of them. Now, of course, combined with Takemichi's intelligence from his previous life, who was kind of living 30 years, he is not as intelligent as Takemichi. But this is where, well, when Takemichi is walking away, he noticed a fucking limo kind of just pass by him. This is where, well, for some reason, he had a weird feeling that fucking limo was owned by that girl that basically just stalked him for most of the time of the damn school. For some reason, every time he just went somewhere, the girl would try to follow him. Now, of course, Takemichi did not want to deal with her at all. Of course, Takemichi wasn't neither going to just decide to, well, mostly just attempt to kind of know what the hell she wanted by just, well, kind of, well, let me think about it. This is where, well, mostly, basically just mostly interact with her by just kind of, I don't fucking remember the word, but mostly just didn't want to kind of get anywhere near her for some reason, but not the point. Mostly, not for some reason, for multiple reasons. She was kind of weird, not gonna lie. But this is where, well, he then just kind of noticed the limo just pass by. This is where, well, he for some reason kind of noticed the limo kind of stopped right in front of him. And of course, the where, well, someone did manage to get out of the driver's seat, and this is where the driver sitter, mostly he looked to be like a butler or something, decides to kind of look into Takemichi, into his eyes, and then look up and down. That's where he then nodded and decides to kind of go up to the door and decides to open it. As well, kind of right now, kind of suggesting Takemichi to get in. Takemichi looks at this and says, "The fuck is this kind of kidnap situation? Hold the fuck up. Do I look like some kind of noble royalty bullcrap to you? Yeah, you're tripping more than ever. I thought this whole complete bullshit of this whole day was so already weird enough. I'm not dealing with this shit." This is where Takemichi just kind of waves his hand saying, "No thanks, I'm not trying to be kidnapped here." This is where Takemichi just said out loud towards the butler. The butler kind of noticed how Takemichi is not gonna get into some random fucking car. Like, the hell? He ain't stupid about this. He's seen so many animes where basically someone gets kidnapped to a van. Well, that is a van, but this is where, well, it's a fucking limo. He's still not trusting that shit. He doesn't know who this motherfucker is. He doesn't trust that shit at all. This is where, well, mostly the door is still wide open. This is where Takemichi is not getting in. Hell no. He's not stupid. First of all, fuck that shit. This is where, well, mostly someone actually kind of poked her head outside the kind of door to kind of see if Takemichi was going to get in. And this is where, well, it was none other than the blondish, palish hair girl with dullish blue eyes. Mostly she still has the two ponytails, and this is where, well, this time she wasn't wearing the school uniform, but mostly it kind of like cheetah kind of outfit somewhat, and of course like a black kind of shirt, not black shirt, like a black, so kind of like this cheetah coat, and it's kind of does have fur like near her kind of neck, but not the point. This is where, well, she does have a kind of zip, but this is where it's showing off a bit of her cleavage, and this is where, well, she noticed how Takemichi is not stupid enough to just get into the car. Like, the fuck is he going to do? No. It's just a stupid fucking thing for her to even suggest, well, mostly Takemichi to get into the fucking, like, limo. Like, the hell? No. Takemichi isn't stupid, but whatever. This is where Takemichi decides to step back and just thinking to just probably walk away from this situation. Junko decides to sigh and gets out of the kind of limo and tells the butler to kind of go. This is where, well, the butler decides to leave and of course decides to kind of, well, drive off. This is where, well, Junko is right now right in front of Takemichi. Now Takemichi, on the other hand, is just looking at her and saying, what the fuck? This bitch is insane. First of all, she tried to kidnap me. Now she's outside trying to lure me into something random. I feel like that's what's going to happen next. She also kind of had dark shades on in this where, well, she kind of just, well, looks at Takemichi, takes off her dark shades and says, so, where are we gonna go then? This where, well, she then asks towards Takemichi. Takemichi just sees this and just thinks in his head, what? No. Never mind. This is where, well, mostly, she then kind of just looks at Takemichi, while Takemichi just fucking thinks of just walking away entirely from this whole shit situation. But before even walking away, mostly she grabs onto Takemichi's arm. That's where, well, she says, so, where do you want to go? To the mall? Or maybe you want to go somewhere like a private location for you to decide to. This where, well, before she even continues talking, Takemichi already knows what the hell she's talking about and decides to kind of just wiggle his arm out of her kind of clutch, even though she was pressing it up towards her kind of chest. And this is where, well, mostly Takemichi mentioned wiggle out of her arm, well, mostly out of his arm, out of her kind of grasp, and decides to just completely walk away from her. This is where Moshi growls from the fact that Takemichi just completely ignores her charms, her charisma, and just fucking walked away. Like, Takemichi does not care. This is where, well, she then thinks of more sinister things to even tell him about. Or not sinister things, mostly sinister plans to making Takemichi finally fall under her kind of, well, mostly like orders and other things, her control over him. But Takemichi is not going to fall for it because he has a strong-minded will, but not the point. He's basically a Sigma, no, not just kidding. But this is where, well, Takemichi kind of just sighs and thinks that basically every girl that he's going to meet is probably going to be insane later on, but not the point. This is where, well, Takemichi is kind of getting home to just keep training, but yeah. But for right now, I'm going to end it off here for part, part 1 of this What If. Other than that, bye, see you, and yeah.